Greetings! Peace be with you. So in this video, you're going to discover how to escape the Maya matrix. Okay? Now Maya in the very ancient Hindu scriptures was described as a magical force. Okay? And then in the later Vedic text, it was described as illusion. And the reason for this is when this illusion is pulled over our eyes to blind us from the truth is when it can be used as a powerful force of manipulation. Because when they manipulate our perceptions is when they manipulate our idea of what reality even is. Okay? Now waking up inside the matrix is about understanding that reality is literally an illusion. Okay? I did not say this. Albert Einstein said this when he said that reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very consistent one. Okay, what did he mean by this? So look, it really comes down to the fact that a large part of our society is built on the fundamental premise that what we perceive is real, right? What we can see is what we believe, right? Seeing is believing. And the five sense reality through what we use to experience the physical world, that is what is real. But when we consider the fact that what we see, visible light, is only 0.035% of the electromagnetic spectrum, which includes stuff like gamma rays, infrared rays, ultraviolet light rays, right? So what we see based on the perceivable universe, which is the electromagnetic spectrum, is only 0.0035%. Okay, so it's more like our eyes are deleting everything that is not visible light and only perceiving that small segment of reality. Okay, and when we look at that from a bigger frame as well, the electromagnetic spectrum is estimated to be 0.005% of the entire universe, of the entire energy in the universe. Okay, it's like more than, I think 90% of it is like dark energy and dark matter. So where am I going with this? It's about understanding that five sense reality as we perceive it through our eyes, through our ears, is more like a tiny representation of what reality actually is. And when we think that this is what is true, that this is absolute reality, that's kind of like a calculator that can only function to perform addition and subtraction. And we think that that is all of mathematics, because that is what the device is programmed for. So when we use our bodies to perceive the world, we've been programmed only to perceive but a mere segment of it, right? Like infinitesimally small aspect of reality is what we are programmed to perceive. And when we think that is true, is when we think the illusion is true. And waking up is about realizing that five sense reality is just an illusion. Okay, and this is what the ancient mystics and seers have been telling us for millennia. And then we have this paradigm of scientific materialism, of Newtonian physics, of classical physics, of thinking that this world is material and that this grass over here is grass and that this human over here is a human and that tree over there is a tree. And we think that matter is matter and this is all that there is. But then when we dive deeper and really begin to see at the atomic level, we see that everything is made up of atoms. And as we dive deeper, we see that an atom in itself is 99.9999% empty space. So is it actually real? Because it's been estimated that if we were to remove all the empty space between ourselves as human beings, okay, that all of humanity would be able to fit within a single sugar. Whoa, man. That's not an illusion. Pop my eardrum over there. But it's been estimated that if we were to remove all the empty space between our atoms and put it inside a sugar cube, all of humanity would be able to fit within that sugar cube. Messed it up there through the horn, but you understand the point over there. Okay, so even matter is not real. It's completely empty space. And that is when we get deeper to the level of quantum mechanics and quantum physics and understanding that even matter is not matter. It's just mostly empty space. And this is why Niels Bohr, who was one of the founding fathers of quantum physics, he won the Nobel Prize, I think it was in 92, I'm not entirely sure on the year, but he said that if quantum mechanics has not profoundly shocked you, then you have not understood it yet. Because everything that we call real is made up of things that cannot be considered real. Right? It's crazy to think about. And we think that it's real because that's what we've been programmed by. but that programming actually holds us back from seeing reality as it really is in its absolute sense. Okay, now there was an experiment performed in quantum physics known as the double slit experiment. Okay, like, I'm not here to say that I'm a quantum physicist. Okay, I don't understand any of it, but I can draw the conclusions from the stuff that I've read online in terms of what the main point is, right? And the main point of the double slit experiment, where they they shine some photons, right, which are particles of matter, through two slits in a barrier towards the wall on the other side. And they found that, okay, it's behaving like a particle of matter. Then they actually went on to see what's going on without observing it, right? So they shined it, and then they found that it was actually behaving like a wave function. And that astounded them. And that one experiment is really the link between science and the nature of life itself. And what it revealed to us is that, when it's not being observed, is when that reality exists in an endless wave of possibilities. Because the only way that there could be an interference pattern between the photons that are being shined through the barrier is if the photons went through both slits at once, they went through none of the slits at once, they went through the right one and the left one, right? So it's like every single possibility was taking place when the observation was not being made. Okay, so basically reality exists in a wave of endless possibilities until we observe it and break it down. Okay, there's an old Zen riddle as well that states that if a tree fell in the forest and no one heard it, did it make a sound? And the answer is that sound in itself exists within our eardrums, right? There's a sound that is picked up through our eardrums and then it's perceived through our brain. But if there's nothing to perceive that sound, then it cannot possibly exist. And understanding that consciousness, awareness, literally collapses that wave function. Okay, so reality in itself exists in a wave of endless possibilities until there is an observation that's being made, until there's awareness about what is going on. Okay, it's crazy to think about. So where does this all lead us? Okay, so it all comes down to what Nikola Tesla said. And he said that if you seek the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And what quantum mechanics is showing us is that everything is energy vibrating at a frequency. Okay, so in a sea of energy, you don't know where the energy begins and where it ends, right? So what the latest breakthroughs in quantum mechanics have told us is the same things that the ancient mystics have been telling us for millennia, which is the ultimate spiritual truth, which is all life is one. Unity is the absolute reality. And the Maya matrix is the illusion of separation. And why is this being used to manipulate humanity? Because when we are divided, when we are separated, is when the puppet masters at the top, who know all of this stuff, can be using this perception deception to divide and rule. Because if we woke up to the reality that we are ultimately all one, not just as an idea, but actually through a practice in which we dictate our behaviors and we truly begin to treat each other like we treat ourselves, because that is the golden rule. And it's not just something that's talked about, but actually lived. Okay, I struggle with this, but my intention is always to remind myself of it and get back to it, because this is the ultimate reality. That is the link between spirituality and quantum physics, because there's a divide in our society where people are like, yeah, I believe in science, but what they believe in is scientific materialism, which in itself is an agenda to divide people, which in itself is based on the fundamental perception that what we see is reality, that matter is real, what we can perceive with our five senses is real. But as you just found out, that is definitely an illusion. Okay, so that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Escaping the Maya matrix is about waking up to the reality of absolute unity, which is absolute reality. Okay, separation is the only illusion. That's why Einstein, right, he said E is equal to mc squared. And what he's basically saying is that energy and matter are the same thing. When matter at a higher frequency, at the speed of light squared, it becomes energy. And energy is just endless. You don't know where energy begins and where it ends, right? And the analogy is that of the ocean and the waves on the ocean. You can see, okay, these are separate waves, but you can't say where one wave ends and the other one begins, because they're all connected through the infinite field, which is the ocean. And in the same way, we are connected on the infinite field, of consciousness. Okay, whether you want to call it the source field, the quantum field, whether you want to call it the mind of God, we understand that if God is everything that is, and we are an individuation of everything that is, then we are not separate from God. As the ripple on the surface of the ocean is not separate from the ocean, we are not separate from God. We are not separate from each other. As Alan Watts said, you are the universe experiencing itself. And he also said that God is what no one admits to being, but everyone is. And through some lens of perception, that is considered blasphemy. But when we dive deeper and connect the bridge between what the ancient mystics and seers have been telling us for millennia to what the latest breakthroughs in quantum mechanics are telling us right now, we can see the link. Okay? So waking up inside the matrix is about waking up to the illusion of separation and beginning to see absolute reality as ultimate unity. Okay? So that is my message for you today. Seems like the lighting's a bit off. Hopefully you still caught the message. And that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day, understanding that. And I know I've said this in my previous videos as well, but it's just about re-emphasizing it and reminding myself of that again and again and again so that I can actually live that, right? That's what it comes down to, the daily practice of actually living that, all right? So with that, I will leave you in the peace and power of the one infinite creator. Leave a comment below letting me know your number one takeaway from this video, and I will catch you in the next one.